we talk about the world, what is the reality of this world? On what basis have we taken the world to be real? We are taking the world to be real just based on our sense perceptions or just based on a shared sense of reality we are having. But how do we really conclusively say this world is real? So this is where, Vedanta's approach is slightly different to the common approach. The normal approach, whether you take religions or philosophies, is based on trying to say, like how Swami Rama's another illustration was that if there is a man, if there is a watch, there has to be a watchmaker. If there is a house, there has to be a house builder. So similarly, if there is a world, there has to be a builder of this world. There has to be a creator, right? So this notion which we have is based on our cause and effect. Like there is something, so there has to be a cause of something. So this is where, this kind of illustration is given just as a, if we really want in creation, then there is creation stories in Upanishads, different creation stories. But Vedanta has such doesn't take that creation stories to be the ultimate reality. So, what is the reality of this world? When we say the reality has no existence, there are non-existence, and the unreality never existed. So, which bracket does this world come in? Which bracket do I, you come in? Do we come in that reality or the unreality? So when we really look at it, we this is where the best illustration Vedanta gives for this is the example of a dream. When you're dreaming, you take that to be real. But when you wake up, what has happened? The dream is gone. It was never a reality. So similarly, the Vedanta's perspective is this, that this thing we take to be real never existed. It appears to exist, and that appearance is that play of Maya, which we call as Maya. And what is Maya? Maya is in a more detailed thing. Maya is not describable. But it appears to exist. It appears to be the creator. It appears to bring about this creation. That all these things that we are perceiving and all that. Just as how in our dream, we see everything. So it is that kind of an what we call as illusion, external illusion that we are perceiving. Okay, so today I will, before going into the shlokas, I will cover some of the questions which we didn't properly address, or I couldn't address. The first related to this dream thing is a question that somebody had. So, first part of that question is coming out of waking up from this dream-like life, same as coming out of dream experience from my everyday sleep. So yeah, that is the point that Vedanta is saying, right? This dream is a superimposition on our waking state, right? Like what do we consider? We consider reality. We don't consider the dream as reality, right? We take the waking as reality. From a normal person's perspective, the waking is a reality. So what happens? The dream is coming and going in this waking. Why? Because the dream doesn't have a continuity, but the waking life has a continuity. So I take more faith or more reality, I give more reality to my waking state. So now here is where the deeper perspective is that this waking life is like a great cosmic illusion. It's like a cosmic dream. So we try to wake up from this cosmic dream by how we are, our waking also changes. In one life, I am this, another life, I am this. So that is happening in what? It is happening in that consciousness. So that consciousness, that ultimate substratum, that is the illustration given. Okay, but her question is something else. if I can catch hold of that moment, experience of coming out of my dream state, will that be same as when I come out of dreamlike life and this unreality vanishes forever? Yeah, in a way, yes, but at the more deeper point is better than catching that point of waking where neither state is clear. Like, oh, I think what she's referring to is like sometimes, we are in between. Just before I wake up, there is a little sense of awakefulness, but yet some lingering of dream might be going on or sleep state might be going on. So that state, if I captured, can I also wake up? Can I wake up to that higher reality? So see, that is a practice, especially if you in a lot of Buddhist things and all that. It is called as lucid dreaming. More than catching that waking up state, you try through some practices to wake up in the dream itself, but not completely dissolve that dream. So the dream continues and you try to remain in that little bit of waking. So that is a practice. Now it's also a scientific practice. A lot of research has been done on that. So these are practice. But the point that here is that from our perspective of waking to that reality, so we should not try to wake up from the dream alone. We should try to wake up from this life itself. So this is where, the question should come in our life. Am I really awake in my life? In my daily life, I should come up with this question. Am I dreaming or am I awake? Huh? So what does that mean? Like we say these days, like, are you conscious? Like, are you being conscious, fully conscious? Meaning, are you completely acting out of your full intellect? So here, when the knowledge comes, when the reality comes down, even our day-to-day life, our day-to-day life constantly that jnani or yogi has this question, is this real? Am I dreaming here? Meaning, am I actually going through the real reality of life, or is it just like a waking up where I'm also caught up in a sense of unreality, a reality I've given to something which is not real? So this is one of the fastest way to awaken us to truth and be free from all sorrows, whatever problems we are going through. This is one of the greatest ways to remind us that this life or this waking state I'm going through is not the ultimate reality. This is also experiences are coming and going. One after another, one experience is coming and going. None of these experiences are for real. So, how do we come to that? So, that is where, our third point is that is there a method practice to cling on to that experience? So this is where we all fall into the trap. So the whole process is we are all caught up in this thing of practice. This is where the whole teachings where Shankaracharya talks about the fundamental difference between karma and jnana. He says karma and jnana cannot go together. So we are ingrained with a deep seated notion that if I do this, I will get that. Like if, for example, if you are making idlis or Western version of bread, you need that dough to rise, right? That yeast has to come. So if it is not coming, then you try different methods. If I try this method, it will come. That method, it will come. So our idea is that if I get that formula right, if I figure out the conditions and somehow practice it correctly, I will have a good result. Many bakeries and many restaurants have perfected this, right? How to make the perfect uh, dosas and bread and all that, batter and all that. So we think that even consciousness is like that. We can wake up if we figure out the exact practice, the exact method. Huh? So this is where, the practice here is not going to wake you up. The practice will give you another experience. So even that, there is a kind of an experiential sense of awakening. So that is also for accepted in non-duality. Especially there are teachers like Ramana Maharshi and all that who have made that part of practice also important. So there is an experiential sense I get when something I do, some practices I do, something, and then I come to some kind of an experiential state. But see, that is an experience that will also go. None of those experiences will stay forever. So the real thing that helps us to stabilize in this is knowledge, wisdom, a clear knowledge. So in order for that knowledge to become clear, you can do practices with the mind so that the mind is pure, the mind is calm, the mind is able to absorb that. But that knowledge, that wisdom cannot be, is not a practice as such. So this is where, like even when we talk about waking up from the dream, so that the experience might give you conviction. If you wake up from a dream sometimes and you experience that lucidity, you might see that, oh yeah, this is a dream and I'm awake in this dream. So similarly in our life, sometimes we may have some experience where we may feel that things are happening in my life, but I suddenly kind of feel I'm awake, I'm untouched by that. So some sense of strong sense of abiding in that awareness. So, but for most people, that abiding doesn't last for long. Why? Because there, that mind, two things. There is no purity in that mind, meaning that mind is still based on samskaras, kleshas. They are so strong in the mind. And the second most important aspect, and that is the approach of Vedanta, is that knowledge is not established. The jnana nishtha has not happened. So this is where for us, most of us sadhakas, the balance is required. Yoga talks about practice. What is the practice helpful? The practice is helpful so that our mind is free of all these kleshas and vasanas. And the Vedanta talks about knowledge as in listening, hearing to the truth again and again and again. So there what happens, that knowledge becomes stronger, deeper. So the as many times as we hear that impression of what is real gets stronger and what is unreal will fade away. So this is the thing. How do we come to this thing of reality is mostly through neti neti. Not this, not this. Because all of things that has happened is a superimposition. How we have superimposed on ourselves this idea of body, mind, indriyas, and all that.